Good evening, everybody. It is Saturday, April 1st, 2023. We are back in Ottumwa waiting for trains. Now, the evening is pretty nice. It is 54 degrees. The wind's been blowing all day, but it finally died down. And so now we're just sitting here at McLean Street waiting for some trains to show up on the BNSF. Amtrak is about 25 minutes late. Normally, they'd be pulling into Ottumwa in about 10 or 15 minutes usually if they're running pretty good on time, and then they depart at 6:53. But they just departed Burlington, last I knew, about 25 minutes late. So probably closer to 7 o'clock, 7:15 is when they're going to show up. So we're going to see Amtrak most likely, and whatever else decides to show up. So far, there's really not much of a sign of anything else coming, but hopefully that changes. Last week, we were out here and we got a couple of CP trains, actually 3 CP trains when you count the one that we saw at the end of, the coal train that was going into the yard. So we're just waiting here for some more trains. Just got a message from A train that number 5 just left Mount Pleasant. So it's going to be probably another 35 minutes or so before they show up here, which is about what I estimated. So far, no sign of anything else, but again, that could change. Haven't heard any radio chatter, that much chatter of any kind since I came down here. Didn't check the webcams before I came down here, so I really don't know what else is coming. The nearest webcams are Mount Pleasant for BNSF, and there's one right here in town. And on the CP, there's a webcam in Washington, Iowa, which that'll give you kind of a heads up on anything coming south on the CP. And then there's also a camera on the CP here in Ottumwa as well. Thanks to Main Street Donuts for sponsoring those cameras. And if you want to check out those cameras, they're on a YouTube channel called Steel Highway Rail Cams. Definitely check them out. They are putting up new rail cams all the time. There's a lot of them in this area. There's also some in Dubuque. There's one down in Sedalia, Missouri, if you like seeing the Union Pacific action down there and the Amtrak trains down there. There's one up in Calmer, Iowa, which is near Decorah, where I used to live, on the CP up there. Quite a few rail cams. So again, Steel Highway Rail Cams, check them out. It's a great resource for me, so I can see what's coming on the lines around here, as well as seeing what's going on railroad lines all over the Midwest. So last week when we did this, there was a kind of an issue on the CP. The train went into emergency, and we got that on camera a couple of times. And then we got a northbound CP train, a really short CP train, and then we got that coal train going into the yard. But like I say, there's really not much else going on quite yet. We might put the camera on the little thing here and go for a ride if nothing else shows up. But we will definitely get in position for Amtrak here in about another 20 minutes or so. So about like 6:45, we'll get in place for Amtrak and just wait it out. Did not check the rail cam in Galesburg to see what Amtrak looked like tonight, so it's just going to be a surprise for us all. So we are looking at the Ottumwa subdivision, the BNSF Ottumwa subdivision. This is their double track main line that runs from Chicago to the west, and it is double track all the way to Creston. The Ottumwa subdivision is the portion of the double track between Galesburg and Creston. And then the Creston subdivision goes west. It's off and on double track. There's a lot of segments of single track between Creston and Lincoln. And Amtrak's California Zephyr travels across the entire Ottumwa subdivision, as well as the whole BNSF main line from Chicago through Nebraska and all the way to Denver. And then they get on the Union Pacific, the old former Rio Grande, from Denver to Salt Lake City. And then it's on the old Southern Pacific the rest of the way from Salt Lake City to California. So thanks for everybody joining in tonight. Like I say, we're waiting for trains. The signals down on McLean Street, well, we're at McLean Street. The signals are kind of down on right next to the Clay Street crossing, which if I zoom up down there, we can see them right down there. And those will usually be on if there's any movement, there's any type of activity nearby. And right now they are dark. So we might go for a quick drive here just to check out the CP yard, maybe see if there's anything going on in there, or if there's anything sitting in there. And then we'll come back and get in place for Amtrak. 'Cause like I say, they left Mount Pleasant a few minutes ago, or they're in Mount Pleasant at least. So they're running a little behind. Usually they're in Mount Pleasant a little earlier than this, but they are making up some time. So yeah, I think that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go ahead and get the camera off of the tripod thing and put it on the little car mount here, and we'll get ready to go for our little drive. Yeah, actually, Lyric the Texan Rail Fanner. This is actually an iPhone that I'm recording on right now. This is my iPhone SE. Pretty simplistic recording equipment, I suppose, but it works. It works really well. The only thing that I do not like is that obviously the stability on this thing. Of course, it being an iPhone from a couple of years ago, the stability isn't the greatest. So even when we're sitting and the car is on, which I usually leave it on so the camera can just, or the phone can just keep charging continuously so I don't run out of battery when I'm doing stuff like this. Let's see, that is on the CP, a little blip we just heard, so I don't know if there's anything else going on or not. There might be something in the yard. We're not going to venture too far away because, like I said, Amtrak is on its way. So we're going to take a short little drive, maybe hop over there and see what's going on in the CP yard, and then we'll come right back. So I do wish the stability was a little better on this iPhone, but eventually I will upgrade and it'll be a little better. But and like I say, the Ottumwa roads are not the greatest, so just have to bear with me here. Off we go. So we are going to check out the CP yard. And then we're going to come back and get ready for Amtrak. The California Zephyr, about 25 minutes late out of Burlington. They made up a little time in Mount Pleasant, so we'll be back over here. Probably just make a sweep down there and check out the CP yard and come right back. So right now we're going east on Main Street. To our right here is a staple of Ottumwa that is closing, and it may have actually already closed. It's O'Hara Hardware. They've been here for a long time, and they just had a liquidation. The owner is retiring, and so they're closing the business, and I'm pretty sure this was one of, if not the last day that they were open. going up Kitterman Drive here. So for those of you just joining us, we're on the road. We're going to check out the CP yard really quick before we get Amtrak. Amtrak will be approaching soon, making its station stop in Ottumwa. I'm not sure where I'm going to go yet to get Amtrak. I might go to the station, might just see it come in and go out. We'll see. Get on the highway here. Off we go. This is the Des Moines River Bridge. We actually made a loop. We're going to go over the BNSF tracks. Emergency. Hey, that's our most exciting thing we've got on tape tonight. Granted, we've only been on for 11 minutes, but still. Now, something else that's kind of interesting, which has nothing to do with trains, but it does have something to do with the river we're going over. The pelicans have shown up, and they're just congregating on the river. Now, I don't know where pelicans go to winter. I don't know if they're in the process of migrating or what they're doing, but as you go over the river right now, there are just tons of pelicans in the river, flying over the river. It's pretty funny to see because pelicans are such interesting looking birds. Now, straight ahead of us is the one of two CP bridges over the Des Moines River. And that's the neater looking one of the two, kind of off to the right there. You might not be able to see it in this light, but and it's one of the bridges over there. It's going to be really hard to see here for a few minutes because the sun is going to be shining right into our face there. Ottumwa movie theaters on our right. There's a movie coming out that features, I don't remember what it's called, but there's, I think Morgan Freeman's in it. He's going to be, his character is a model train enthusiast. The movie's not about trains, but the guy in the movie just happens to be a model train enthusiast, so that might be something to check out when it comes out. I don't remember the name of the movie, but something else interesting to our right was what used to be Orschland's Farm and Home, and it has changed to Bumgar's. I did not know that even happened. We learn something new every day. And they've done a lot of clearing out here of the trees. You can look right across and see the CP station over there, and there are no trains in the yard from the way it looks. Now, if you were to chase a CP train south from Ottumwa, down the line towards Blakesburg and Moravia, down there, this is the way you would go out of town. This is Highway 34, and it's a very major east-west highway across Iowa. It does look like there are a few freight cars in the yard over there. Another little cluster of freight cars off to our right, and
all lined up.
Oh.
Let's go to the field.
Well, there is something interesting in the CP yard right now, and I don't know what they're doing, but I'm kind of meandering here, but a couple of days ago, a few former Central Maine and Quebec, I think that's the railroad name, there were a couple of those engines coming through on the CP, and they are still here in Ottumwa. They are in the yard right now, and I don't know if that's what we heard on the radio, if it's the local messing around with them, or what the deal is. It'd be kind of neat to see them go through, but I don't know if they're actually moving or if they're going backwards or what the deal is. It looks like they're in the yard. Okay, we're gonna loop around really quick here and go back to the BNSF and get ready for Amtrak. I think they might actually be backing up, but anyways, those engines are still here in town. Those Central Maine and Quebec locomotives. All right, this could be interesting. You gonna go forward, or you gonna let me go, or okay, thanks. So yeah, welcome to everybody who is just showing up here on the live stream. Things are kind of slow going right now, but Amtrak is on its way. So we're just kind of driving around looking to see what's going on right now, and not much is going on. We're out by the CP yard right now, and that they are switching back there because they're further back than where they were before. Yeah, they are switching down there. I kind of hope that they stick around. Maybe we could see them head south later on. But there are two former Central Maine and Quebec locomotives and a very nice silver and blue paint scheme. It's very neat. Canadian Pacific bought that railroad out, and I guess they are not going to keep those locomotives. They're being returned to the leaser or something. I heard that they might be going out to Wabtec in Albia to be repainted, or at least worked on in some way. Now, what we can hear right now is the local, the CP local, from what I can gather. Now, hopefully they don't have a warrant yet to go out of town. They probably don't, since they're in the yard. But if they're going to get one, let's hope that they wait until after Amtrak. I'd kind of like to see that. But now we're going to go back and get ready for Amtrak. Let's have some action. Coming back into Ottumwa now. And Amtrak is probably about, well, 15 minutes out. So right on the other side of this truck here, on kind of past Arby's down there, is the Quincy Place Mall. And every March, for the longest time, they had a train show every year, a model train show, train swap meet. And I actually participated at that show for many years, from 2006 to 2014, and then from 2015 or 2016 to 2018. So quite a few years I set up at that show. I got my O-gauge train collection and played some of my videos and stuff, and just a really fun weekend. And I think what happened is the club that ran the show just couldn't get enough people to actually put it together anymore, so they stopped doing it. 2018 was the last year they did it. So we're heading back into town. We're going to keep going here at the big four-way traffic light, and we're going to get off Highway 34 at Market Street, and we're going to go straight across the bridge to the railroad tracks, and we'll get Amtrak down in there. Amtrak is on its way. Will most likely be our first train of the evening. Down the ramp, make a left here, Church Street, which will become Market Street, and we gotta stop at the light. I don't believe there will be any chargers on this train, not tonight. The ALC 42s still kind of getting the kinks worked out of them. They have not been regularly assigned to the California Zephyr yet. In fact, they have only been assigned to the California Zephyr once so far. And that was in, I believe it was August of last year, that 2 chargers as well as 2 more that were being delivered new. So it was a complete ALC 42 lash up on the eastbound California Zephyr. And that was last August. So far, there have not been any other ALC 42 chargers assigned to the Zephyr. As more delivered, Amtrak will, I'm sure, gradually get more of them into service. We're going past the Bridgeview Center right now, and the new motel that they're building here on our right. Pretty interesting seeing that go up over the past few months. There's some events going on at Bridgeview Center right now. That's why there's so many cars. Gotta be really careful through here because a lot of pedestrian traffic when there's events going on. Okay, we are coming across the Des Moines River, and you may not be able to see them, but there are a bunch of pelicans down in the river right now, just like I was talking about the other few minutes ago. Some public parking over here. We're gonna whip over here and park and wait for Amtrak. Across the tracks here. Whee! Really nice light tonight. There's not a cloud in the sky. Whoop. All right. We'll go ahead and walk down here to the grade crossing instead of crossing the tracks. Yes, this is a quiet zone. unfortunately, which I talked a little about that last time. This is the Green Street grade crossing. No truck sign because, as you can see, they would have to make a very sharp turn here and semis cannot. They could, but it would be kind of treacherous. All right. So this is it. This is the Green Street crossing. We're gonna go back a little ways. See what we can see here. Some of you say you're lagging. I don't know what the deal is with the internet back there. I'll learn that for next time. Not a good place to go for good internet, I guess. Maybe I wouldn't think the buildings would block it, but okay. Pay no attention to the shadow. The photographer's shadow. It's always something you should not get in the video, but all right, we're gonna extend this thing out a little ways here and pop out the tripod. There we go. So right now we are waiting for Amtrak's California Zephyr. They're going to be approaching shortly. Then after that, we may or may not get a shot of the CP local that we just saw on the other side of town, or that I saw. Feed's still lagging, apparently. Well, then let's move a little further back. Didn't think that this would be a dead zone, but I would think we'd be getting a good reception here. How's the picture look for you guys? This is Iowa. We're in Iowa, Ottumwa, Iowa. All right. Get them right here then. So we are waiting on Amtrak's California Zephyr. They're going to be on their way shortly. We got some soft grass here, so there we go. I'm still getting reports that the picture might be lagging. Anybody else that can give me reports on how the picture looks would be appreciated. Okay, it says it's looking good. All right. Well, things are kind of uneventful right now, but we are waiting on Amtrak's California Zephyr. Should be pulling in. They were 25 minutes late at Burlington. I think they made up a little time in Mount Pleasant. And I'd like to say about 15 minutes ago or so, we had a report that they're about 10 minutes out of agency. So agency is about 9 miles east of Ottumwa. Highway miles, it might be a little shorter by rail because it's a little more straight than the highway. Got a question about how long the Amtrak's going to be. Probably there's going to be, most likely, I don't know because I have not seen I haven't seen this train yet on the rail cams or anything, but the typical consist so far has been lately has been 2 engines, a baggage car, the transition sleeper, a sleeping car, the dining car, lounge car, and 2 coaches, which is a lot shorter than it normally is. Usually there are 2 sleeping cars along with the transition sleeper, and there are 3 coaches instead of 2. Amtrak's had a lot of trouble keeping cars online because there's a lot that are backlogged that need to be repaired. But they don't have enough people right now to repair the cars. So, because they laid off a bunch of people when COVID hit really bad, and now they're trying to rehire people back. And so it's just kind of a mess. But it's slowly, I think they're slowly starting to get cars fixed, but it's a process.
Decide on you got your handbrake off and everything. We'll just have you pull up and you hang that flag.
Now, sometimes the BNSF local 664 will sometimes come through around Amtrak time. That is a train that runs from Eddyville, Iowa, which is west of here, to Galesburg. Sometimes you'll see it coming through right around Amtrak, but I have not heard any word about it tonight. So it may have already come through, or might not be running tonight. It just, depends on what's going on. So if that local, the CP local, sticks around after Amtrak, which I hope they do, we'll be able to see it leave too. So what we are looking at right now, right back there in the background, kind of behind the power substation there, is the Ottumwa High School up on the hill. And left of that is some of the back of the downtown buildings. So we're just sitting here waiting for Amtrak at this point. I will learn in the future that for some reason the internet does not get a very good connection there behind the buildings in that parking lot. So next time I will make sure to park somewhere else. We about lost the connection. Could have brought it back up easy enough from what happened last week. I was getting a CP train and then YouTube cut in and said, do I need a break? And then it cut off my live stream. But I was able to get it back on, and I didn't lose the first part. So now I know if there's ever any interruption, then YouTube will save what's been done in the live stream. Well, Got a couple other rail fans in the area, it looks like. One of them that I know just drove by. Wonder if there's something good on Amtrak that I don't know about yet. Yeah, we'll see. Well, speaking of good things on Amtrak, yesterday on the Southwest Chief, the Operation Lifesaver locomotive headed west on the Southwest Chief, departing yesterday from Chicago. Seen it on the Zephyr a couple of times. See, the last heritage locomotive that I've seen on the Zephyr recently, I think, was, I'm pretty sure it was the Pepsi Can -8 paint scheme 160. It's one of the 50th anniversary Amtrak locomotives. Interestingly enough, there are a couple of 50th anniversary locomotives that are sequentially numbered, 160 and 161. Here comes Amtrak, folks. It is showtime. Here we go. Amtrak is just cleared. Pulling into the station in Ottumwa right now, only running about 6 minutes late at this point. So we're gonna go ahead and go back into the dead zone and hopefully get out of it in time to as we can see, they have just pulled into the station, and we're gonna go hop across and get another shot of them leaving. Probably go to McLean Street. Back to the car we go. And if we do lose internet, I'm going to try and keep it up. All right, here we go. Get the camera back on the thing. Plugged into some juice. All right, we're gonna get out of here as quick as we can because I do not want the feed to go out. For some unknown reason, it does not like being back here, so we're gonna get out of here. Amtrak's California Zephyr, our first train of the night. They are in the station in Ottumwa right now. We're gonna go to the other side and get them leaving. And it was so much easier before they put the quiet zone stuff in. You could just go straight ahead. Now, to get out to the other side, you gotta go up here. You gotta turn left onto Main Street before going across. Kind of amazing to me that we would lose internet back there, but when you're going in between all the downtown buildings, it's just fine. It's mind-boggling. Yes, as somebody was mentioning, it is a lot better tonight than it was last night, and that is definitely true. There were a lot of really bad storms last night. Ottumwa missed them. I mean, we got a little of the bad storm, but it kind of grazed us. I mean, it was not nearly as bad here as it was in other places. The storm really blew up once it got past Ottumwa. Hedrick and Sigourney, there was a very big tornado that touched down up there, and I'm pretty sure it was the same system that hit Coralville really bad, and a lot of damage up there. But Ottumwa really didn't get much damage. It was a little hail, some wind, some really bad wind for a little while, but after that it was fairly calm besides the wind. Yeah, north of Ottumwa got hit really bad. Yeah, I just got a comment that Washington apparently was grazed by the storm too. Just barely. All right. Hopefully this Jeep will stay put. Thanks, buddy.
I'm ready to pull out.
So Amtrak is in the station here in Ottumwa right now. We are on the other side of the station. We're going to go down to McLean Street to get them leaving. And as you could just hear, they just sounded the warning whistle for everybody to get back on the train. Ottumwa is what they call in Amtrak a fresh air stop. On the long distance trains, there are some extended stops where they allow passengers, even passengers that aren't getting off the train, they allow them to get off, stretch their legs, smoke a cigarette if they want to, and just kind of, get some fresh air. And Ottumwa is one of those stops, mainly because it is also a crew change point. Both the engineers and conductors change in Ottumwa. They get off after bringing the train in from Chicago. The next crew that gets on will take the train all the way to Lincoln, Nebraska. We're just going to pop out here really quick and get our train leaving. Get us on the little all right. And it sounds like our CP train is going to get a track warrant right now.
Checkbox 4, FOUR, work between South SAUTH, yard limit Ottumwa. Milepost 330, MP330, Kansas City, Ottumwa sub on main track. Track 4 1019, 1 check 4, MJRO.
Okay, so when Amtrak clears, we are going to make a mad dash down to the CP. It sounds like that local that we saw earlier is about ready to leave. So this could get interesting, folks. Might actually get to see an actual train chase on the live stream.
One line check 9 number 4, okay, at 1906 1906 MJR Patterson. That is correct. What do you guys, what is your turnaround going to be
probably should be back by 2200, give or take.
There we go. All right. All right, Amtrak is departing, and after Amtrak leaves, we are going to get the CP local that we were just hearing on the radio, south of town. And I just got a comment that said the Chargers are going to be deployed on the Zephyr next. That'll be interesting. Okay, here we go. I apologize about kind of the shakiness of this thing. This is a pretty cheap little selfie stick tripod combination. Eventually I'm going to get an actual tripod mount to put my phone on an actual tripod, so it'll be a little more sturdy. But I just wanted to get a couple of little things to get going with these live streams. If they take off the way I want them to, we'll get some better equipment and actually use a real tripod. But it helps that the wind is not blowing like it was earlier today and yesterday. All right.
Amtrak 5, departing Ottumwa, initiate movement. Double O, double 9, or 09.
Now, if you notice as Amtrak goes by, and you might have noticed earlier, there is a Winter Park Express wrapped Superliner coach on the train. And that is actually from last year. Not the season that just ended, but the 2022 Winter Park Express season. And they just never took the wrap off. It's a little bit of variety on this train tonight. And the CP local is leaving town now, so that's where we're gonna go next. But first, it's Amtrak at McLean Street. And there they go, folks. Safe travels, Zephyr. Next stop is Osceola in about an hour. Okay. Now we would stick around, but we have got to get going to our next train here pretty quick. Yes, you are welcome. Always enjoy getting Amtrak. It's always the train that everybody seems to look forward to seeing. All right, now turn our lights on. We're going to head towards our next and what perhaps may be our last train of the night. Crazy as it is, there just doesn't seem to be a whole lot going on tonight. But a train is a train. 2 trains is better than no trains, so we will take what we get. And the signals actually just went out for the BNSF, so there's not anything else on the BNSF for a little while. So, all right, now we're going to make a mad dash over to the CP yard so we can get this local somewhere along the way. And we may have to go out of town a little ways to get it. But this is not my first rodeo. As you've seen on my YouTube channel, and some of you that have my DVDs that I put out a few years back, know that I've chased quite a few southbound CP freight trains. And believe it or not, I've been doing that for, gosh, 12 years now. My first really big CP train chases out of Ottumwa were in 2011. It's been 12 years now. So we're going to go back up the ramp that we went up last time, shoot across the river, then head west on Highway 34, which is exactly what I was talking about earlier.
Just someone said you're in Santana Radio. Amtrak 172.
So thanks everybody for joining in tonight on this second live stream on Bobby Harvey Video Productions. So for those of you just joining us, we are heading towards the Canadian Pacific to get a local with a couple locomotives of interest on it.
West, reporting clear on track 374-18 between CP 1705 west on control signal ICG Railroad crossing 1914 1914. Is that correct?
So there are 2 locomotives on this train that we are hopefully going to get. I came through a few days ago and I wanted to get them, but I had no idea they were coming through, and now we might get a chance to get them. They are 2 former Central Maine and Quebec Dash 9 locomotives that are being taken to Wabtec in Albia to be worked on or be repainted or something, and they are in Ottumwa right now on their way out of town. So we're going to try, emphasis on the word try, we're going to try to get ahead of them and get a picture. So you guys will be able to see just what it's like to chase trains through here. And what always happens when you are in the middle or at the beginning or during a chase of some sort, the traffic on the road seems to slow down. Any other time, everybody'd be zooming by you at 100 miles an hour, it seems like. But then when you actually want to get somewhere at a decent clip, everybody else seems to slow down. The sun is going to be brutal this way right now, folks, so I apologize. At this time of year, the sun is almost directly right in front of us when we're going west. Another thing is the traffic lights don't really work in your favor at this when you're in a chase either. So right now it's about 7:15 Central Time. We are heading west to intercept our next train of the evening. It is a CP local on the Canadian Pacific's Laredo subdivision. And I won't be able to say that much longer because as far as I know, in a couple of weeks, Canadian Pacific will merge with Kansas City Southern to create Canadian Pacific Kansas City. Be kind of hard to to fathom that the Canadian Pacific, in a sense, will be a fallen flag in just a couple of weeks. In a sense, because they're acquiring Kansas City Southern, but the whole railroad is being rebranded as Canadian Pacific Kansas City. So we are approaching the city limits of Ottumwa. We're actually going to be heading west a little ways, and I hope that I can get a visual of this train. Otherwise, we may actually go all the way to Blakesburg or further. Let's hope our internet can hold up out there in the boonies, which it's really not as remote as you would think. Iowa actually has very good phone coverage throughout the entire state. But there are some parts of the state that are kind of remote. Not around here, but in other places. So thank you to all 31 of you who have joined in tonight. That's 25, whatever. That's a record. So I've only been doing this is only the second live stream I've done. Did one last week, and we may just make this into a weekly thing. And it may not be always Ottumwa, obviously. It might be, other places too. You guys have any suggestions on where you'd like to see me go next? Just let me know. All right, here we go. We are out of the city limits now, and we are heading west, 55 miles an hour, going towards, Blakesburg, most likely. We are probably going to go to Blakesburg to get this train because it being a short train, it is already gone. The sun is absolutely brutal right now, so yeah, they are out of here. So we are off to Blakesburg. And it's just as well because after Amtrak went through, I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but after Amtrak went through, the signals at the BNSF down at the IC&E junction went off. So there are no other movements going on BNSF right now. So we're going to take what we get, and we're going to try and get this local on the Canadian Pacific outside of Ottumwa. We're a few miles out of Ottumwa now. We are heading towards Blakesburg, which railroad miles is about, probably about 10 miles on the railroad. It's a little further by road. They were leaving right as Amtrak was leaving, so hopefully we can get to Blakesburg in time. I think we might be able to. One nice thing about the time changing is that the sun stays out a lot later at night now. It is 7:20 and we still have sunlight here in Iowa. Now eventually I would think when you're going to come through unless you're glued to the webcams all day. Trains. But we've been on the air now for about an hour, and we've only seen one train so far, and it's Amtrak. And Amtrak is already, they're gone. They're on their way west now. We got them two places in Ottumwa, and now we're going to hopefully get a CP local down in Blakesburg. And I really hope that the internet holds up through these little valleys and things. It kind of took a blip right there about a minute ago. Hopefully it holds up. I probably shouldn't do this, but I'm going to. Let's try and clean this glass. I don't want it to streak, but it's not even reaching that. Oh yeah, that's right, that's on the inside. That little circle that you might be, okay, 312. Thank you, James. Whoops. Milepost 312, which is, oh geez. I'm trying to think of where that is. Well, 308 is Bidwell, which we just went by. Oh boy. If they're at 312 already, they've already gone past 215th Avenue. So, yeah, we may not get them at Blakesburg either. We might catch up to them at Blakesburg, but we might have to go further west. So anyways, I would eventually like to have these live streams be less driving and more trains, but sometimes you have to do a lot of driving to get pictures, because sometimes there's nothing going on and you have to drive somewhere else to see something else, or there's only one train in the area, and to get the most out of your time, you drive once. Got a couple more miles to go, and then we're going to be turning south on a county road that will take us into Blakesburg. And most likely we will meet up with the train there. Milepost 318, to be more precise, 318.8 is where a defect detector is, and that is just west of Blakesburg, railroad direction south of Blakesburg. So if the train is going, which, you know, you got to do some quick math. If this is a, you know, through here, your train's average speed is probably going to be like 30 miles an hour. So you figure, well, how long does it take a train going 30 miles an hour to go a mile? And that's pretty easy math. 60 miles an hour, it takes a minute, so 30 miles an hour, which is half of 60 miles an hour, would take a train 2 minutes to go a mile at 30 miles an hour. So if that train is going 30 miles an hour, and we're trying to get ahead of it to milepost 318, let's see, that's 6 miles, so 12 minutes, give or take. So this could be interesting. We may not get it. Just to warn you guys, we may not get it, but we might. Like I said, I've been doing this quite a while. Not to say I'm an expert, and obviously I'm following laws. I'm not speeding or anything. A funny story. It's funny now. It wasn't funny then, but a few years ago I was out doing some filming in Colorado, getting footage for Amtrak's California Zephyr for a new documentary that I'm going to be doing in the future, which I hope to get it finished this year. And I was coming in a little too hot to a a town called Kremling, Colorado, and the police clocked me going a little too fast, even though I was slowing down, and I got a speeding ticket. So now I just, I follow the traffic laws, which you should always do, and I was, but I just was coming in to town just a little too fast. All right, here is our turn to Blakesburg. One thing you do listen to on the radio when you're chasing these CP trains is that they will call out station names. And Blakesburg is considered a station. So if you're within range of hearing them, they will call out Mileboard Blakesburg on the radio. So you'll be able to know that they are 1 mile out of Blakesburg. The train is at Blakesburg now. Okay. Just as I thought would happen. That's okay. We're getting close. Now going through these hills and stuff, it might be lagging. The internet, the video feed might be lagging quite a bit. And the road's a little more bumpy now, so... Drive like the wind. Well, I'm doing my best, legally. But I also don't want to rattle y'all's teeth out, which it definitely looks like I am. So, like I say, eventually, when I keep doing these live streams, I will get some better equipment and, maybe a better phone and stuff, so better stability, so it won't be so bumpy. But these roads don't help either, and the fact that I have to raise up this little stand that I have to see over the dash. Usually I have it down all the way, which I think would make it more stable, but then all you'd be able to see are the stars, pretty much. So, you've got to raise it up so you can see ahead. All right. Thank all of you who have stuck around. Once again, it really has been kind of uneventful. The only train we've seen so far is Amtrak, but I'll try and see one more train before we probably call it quits for the day. Okay, they are at the south siding switch, Blakesburg. Like I said before, the internet might be kind of spotty out here. Just because it's just more of a rural area. Just we may not we may not get this train. If they are at the south siding switch now, we're gonna have to book it to get ahead of them anywhere, which is unfortunate, but wind through here. Now, if we don't catch up to them here, we will abandon chase, which is unfortunate for everybody that's tuned in, but and unfortunate for me because I wanted to give you guys a good live stream with a lot of trains. But sometimes you just get what you get. And it is unfortunate that they didn't wait a few minutes until after Amtrak left to leave, but there have been so many in Ottumwa that I've had to make a decision on what train I wanted to get, because multiple trains are leaving at the same time. No, there were not any other trains in the yard besides the local. That was the only one. At least right now. Something else could have come into the yard since I left, but okay, this is where the chase gets interesting, because we leave the pavement and we go onto gravel. Now, they just cleared the south siding switch a couple minutes ago, so it's possible we might catch up to them. There's the railroad crossing. We're going to turn right. I don't know if I see them or not. Now this is really going to be a teeth-chattering few miles, because we are on gravel, and so I apologize for the absolutely crazy picture that you're getting right now. The good thing is we are now paralleling the railroad. So we are clearly going much faster than they are, so if they're not too far ahead of us, we will catch up. Come through here and they just really make all those little like ruts in the road, and when it dries it's just you can just be like driving on a washboard. Yeah, it's not looking good, folks, unfortunately. The thing about the local is that it's a small train, it's a short train, and they can really get ahead of you, because they can really speed up and slow down very quickly because they're a short train. And they can really leave you in the dust. You wouldn't think that a 30 mile an hour, 40 mile an hour train would get away from you, but they do. It happened many times. The last thing I want to do is drive all over Tarnation trying to catch up to this train when it might not get there. So we're going to be going along the road here for a couple more miles along with the railroad, and if we do not catch up with them, we're going to abandon chase, which is unfortunate, but the sun's going down. We really don't have much more time, so unfortunately, we're going to have to turn around, folks. We tried. I mean, that's all we can do, unfortunately. Because they're probably almost to Moravia by now. We just did not get down here in time, with enough time to get them. So, yes, indeed, the sunset is pretty nice. So, not really the way I wanted to end this particular chase portion of our video, but you win some, you lose some. That's something that I've learned a long time ago. Sometimes it just doesn't work out, and you really, I mean, you can kick yourself for not, leaving sooner or for not getting a certain place sooner, but, there's nothing you can do. So we're going to make a U-turn here and head back to Ottumwa. Well, maybe in the future we should just do like Amtrak and whatever else is around instead of trying to get a bunch of other stuff, because it's not working out. But no 2 days are the same on the railroad. I mean, one day you could get nothing or very little. The next day you could get, a lot of trains. There have been a couple of times in more recent years in Ottumwa that I have gotten 10 trains or more within 2 hours. But it's very unusual, and especially, I mean, it's not unusual, but everything just has to be timed just right. And, the freight trains, they may leave the terminals at a particular time, but they really don't run on any specific schedule. Amtrak does. But the freights do not. So you can just get them wherever they're running at the time. And sometimes you might get a few trains. Sometimes you might get nothing. Sometimes you might get a lot. It just depends on wherever the freight trains are at that time. What I found out is if Amtrak is running on time in the morning, there tends to be a lot more freight activity. Because the dispatchers will line up the freight trains, and sometimes they'll stop them around Ottumwa in preparation of Amtrak's arrival, and then when Amtrak comes in and leaves, they'll send the freight trains through, and so they'll all kind of get bunched up, and it'll be like one right after the other. That happens a lot in Atlanta. Now at night, the freight trains seem to be a little more fluid. But like I said, sometimes you can get the BNSF local in town, sometimes you can get a lot of other stuff going on. See, right there, that is milepost 318 on the Canadian Pacific. And we're running out of light, running out of time. This was not timed very well, so I guess I should have left to get that train before Amtrak departed, but it's okay. So as we come back up to Blakesburg here, we will probably end things for the night. Obviously, by the time we get to Ottumwa again, it's going to be dark. But we'll do this again. We'll try this again next week, and we'll see what happens then. Maybe we'll get out in the morning, maybe, or earlier in the evening. See if we can get more trains then. So yeah, for those of you still with us, we got Amtrak. We tried to get a CP local. We chased it all the way down to Blakesburg and past Blakesburg, but the train got away from us. We're unable to catch up. And at times like that, I mean, part of it wants to keep going. You want to keep chasing it until you get ahead of it. Another part of you is like, you could be chasing that thing all night. And even though they're only going as far as Moravia, they're dropping the engines there at Moravia. So they're actually, I think I heard them say they were going to come back just an engine, just light power. So getting them coming back wouldn't be anything compared to getting them going out. So next time we're going to try this again. We're going to maybe get out a little earlier, maybe see if there's anything else going on. And it just depends. It just changes from day to day. We're going to come to a stop here. Everybody that stuck around for as long as they did, thank you guys for watching. Like I said, next time, hopefully we will have more trains and more excitement. As far as my regular videos that I'm working on right now, still working on the Old Threshers video. That one is going to be coming out hopefully this month sometime. After that, it's going to be a Union Pacific video with the big boy, all the footage that I got in 2019. That'll be next in line. And after that will be the Iowa Interstate from 2021 and 2022, all the excitement that went on, special trains on the Iowa Interstate in 2021 and 2022. So there's going to be a lot of the QJ 7081, or excuse me, no, 6988. We're going back in time a little bit there. QJ 6988, some action there with 6988, and then the end of last year we had the UP donation special. So that's all going to be in the next Iowa Interstate video that I'm going to be doing. And that's going to be the third one in line. Those are 3 projects I'm working on now, my normal videos. So like I said, the Old Threshers video will be next. After that, it's going to be Union Pacific Big Boy. And then after that, it's going to be the Iowa Interstate. And then there's a lot more projects that I have in the works that will be coming on down the line. But those are the 3 I have lined up right now. Yeah, you can tell there's nothing going on because I've had the scanner on this whole time. I'm turning it off now, and there's just no talk. So, I mean, anyways, this is Bobby Harvey. Thanks for joining me, and we'll try this again next week, see if we can get some more trains, and just be on the lookout for some more of my regular videos coming up soon in the future. So we're going to end it right here, folks. Take care, and we'll see you next time. Bye.